1. Hook NAT gateway can silently drain your AWS budget and cripple your application performance. Want to know how? Stick around, and I'll show you the hidden costs and a better way to manage your architecture. Many new AWS users don't realize the costs associated with NAT gateway, especially as they scale. You might think you can just set it and forget it. But without proper management, it can lead to unexpected bills and performance issues. 3. The simple explanation. So, what exactly is a NAT gateway? In simple terms, it's a managed service that allows instances in a private subnet to connect to the internet without exposing their IP addresses. But here's where it gets tricky. NAT gateways charge not just for the data processed, but also for the hours they run. That means if you have a NAT gateway up 24/7, you're racking up costs even when you're not using it. To put it in perspective, AWS charges around $0.045 per hour for a NAT gateway, plus $0.045 per gigabyte of data processed. If you are processing hundreds of gigabytes a day, those costs can add up quickly. 4. Real-world example. Let's look at a startup, TechHub, that relied heavily on a NAT gateway. They provisioned a NAT gateway to enable their microservices architecture in a private subnet. Initially, everything seemed fine. However, as their user base grew, so did their data transfer needs. In the first month, they noticed their AWS bill skyrocketed to $1,500, primarily due to the NAT gateway costs. They had 10 microservices all making calls to external APIs, resulting in approximately 1 terabyte of data processed. Let's break down the costs. $0.045/hour x 730 hours equals $33. 1024 gigabytes x $0.045 equals $46.08. $33 plus $46.08 equals $79.08. It seemed reasonable until they realized they could reduce costs by 70% by adopting a different approach. Instead of keeping the NAT gateway running all the time, they implemented a solution that allowed for on-demand provisioning based on traffic needs. 5. What to do instead. Here's how to avoid the NAT gateway trap. 1. Assess your needs. Start by analyzing your application requirements. Do you need continuous internet access from private subnets? If yes, consider alternatives before jumping into NAT gateway. 2. Use NAT instances. If your traffic is unpredictable, consider using NAT instances instead. These can be spun up and down as needed, allowing you to control costs better. They can also be configured with auto-scaling. 3. Implement VPC endpoints. For services like S3 and DynamoDB, use VPC endpoints. This allows your resources to connect privately without using a NAT gateway, saving you costs. 4. Automate scaling. Set up CloudWatch alarms that monitor your traffic. If your usage exceeds a certain threshold, say, 100 gigabytes/day, automate the scaling of your NAT resources. 5. Review regularly. Schedule a monthly review of your AWS bill focusing on NAT costs. Look for spikes and analyze whether they correlate with your application's traffic patterns. 6. Common mistakes. 1. Ignoring costs. Many startups overlook the cost implications. Always use the AWS pricing calculator to estimate costs before deploying. Fix. Create a budget and set alerts to notify you when spending exceeds a certain threshold. 2. Leaving NAT gateway always on. Running a NAT gateway 24/7 is a common mistake. Fix. Use automation to shut down the NAT gateway during off-peak hours. 3. Not optimizing data transfer. Sending large volumes of data can inflate costs quickly. Fix. Optimize your application to reduce unnecessary outbound calls. Consider caching responses or batching requests. 4. Not utilizing VPC endpoints. Missing out on VPC endpoints for AWS services can lead to needless NAT gateway usage. Fix. Review your architecture and implement VPC endpoints where applicable. 5. Failing to monitor usage. Many teams don't track NAT gateway usage effectively. Fix. Set up detailed monitoring in CloudWatch to track NAT gateway metrics and costs. 7. Quick checklist. Assess your application's internet access needs. Consider using NAT instances instead of NAT gateway. Implement VPC endpoints to minimize NAT usage. Set CloudWatch alarms for traffic spikes. Regularly review your AWS bill and optimize. 8. Summary plus CTA NAT gateway can indeed be a silent killer in your AWS architecture, draining your resources and budget if not managed correctly. By understanding the costs, implementing alternatives, and avoiding common mistakes, you can keep your startup's cloud expenses in check. If you found this video helpful, comment below with any questions or let me know about your experiences with NAT Gateway. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips and insights on cloud engineering. Bonus practical tip: if you're unsure what to pick, start with the simplest option that ships today. Then measure for 7 days, latency, errors, deploy time, and cost. Only upgrade when metrics force the decision, not fear.